No? You send the link to students to the stream? Yeah. Okay, I will start recording as well. Yeah, can anyone confirm that there's something on the link? Yeah, I can see my voice. Yeah. So I can hear my voice, so everything should be fine, yeah? So can you see my screen? You see Maya? Yeah, good, good, good. That's great. Let's start then. Hi everyone. My name is Sonya with Y, because it's a bit confusing to think that you received an email on the website. So it's Sonya with Y. If you want to add me on LinkedIn at the end of this session, I'm perfectly fine with it. I've been studying animation in UAL, LCC, London College of Communication. Then after graduated there, so LCC animation is basically at that point was everything like hand drawn, stop motion, 3D, everything in one. And after that, I went to Escape Studios. I hope everyone heard of, where I studied a couple of courses. One of which was um, video games art production, as well as just animation, 3D animation. And I stayed after that to assist some classes there. The one of which was MA in character and creature creation, and two evening courses, one in motion graphics, one in and the other one is concept art. So concept art mainly done in ZBrush and Photoshop. Now, currently, I'm teaching in LCC, the one that I graduated years ago. I'm teaching 3D animation, teaching mainly 3D generalist skills, which are 3D modeling, 3D texturing, sculpting in ZBrush, proper animation, keyframe animation, and everything else, but those are my focus. Um, I would say I'm trying to keep up with some freelance jobs as well, which is difficult, but yeah, this is on the side something that I'm doing. Today, the session will be about, I will talk about mainly character creation because this is my specialism, let's say. I don't know how much you're familiar with the pipeline and what it includes for the character creation. So basically, I'm more familiar with the animation, proper animation than animation for games, but those are transferable skills and it's the same. So the most important thing that is in games is you to have a low poly character, which in film won't be that important, not that low poly, and obviously to bring it to a game engine. So let me just start with a question to those people who are here in Brixton. Are you familiar with modeling in Maya? I suppose yes. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. What about ZBrush and Substance Painter? No. Okay, so I will show those softwares today, but it won't be like a proper follow me step by step thing. It will be just to explain how are those things working in production, how you take your character from concept that could be yours, that could be sent to you from the art department, take it from concept, um, two different approaches. Then at the end, we will take this same model, one of the models that I'm going to show you today, we'll take it to some Substance Painter so I can show you how to texture a character. Let's call it a character, although it doesn't have all the qualities of a proper character, how to take it to a Substance Painter and prepare the textures there for exporting in Unreal Engine. Okay, so first thing, we have a couple of approaches to build a character. So you know that for environment, it's straightforward. You can start and finish everything in Maya. For characters, it used to be like this. Some people would build from low poly the character with some planes, which was very difficult. It could make anyone to give up being 3D modeler forever. But now it's easier with ZBrush. So there are two approaches. First one, which is more, which is what you will usually do. You will create the character in ZBrush, then take it and retopologize it in Maya, and do the rest after that. The other approach, and this is what you will use more for environments, but then in props, but then you can use it for characters as well, is to build your thing inside of Maya, low poly, take it to ZBrush, add detail there, and then decimate it and bake normal maps from it. So I will show you the first one first. I have this little turtle. So this is the let me see which one. Paint. Be able to open it. So this is concept art that I received. This was actually a student project back when I was in Escape. So I was helping some students with some character modeling. Was involved in a group project, student group project. So this is a character, the main character of the film, called Dex. And the character designer of this film sent to me those couple of turnarounds. And this is what you want to have. This is what you want to start with when you build a character, to have those turnarounds. You can do them yourself. You can just use some references from the internet. Or someone can, in the best possible way to start a character is someone to create those for you to use, and then you go and make 3D. So I took those and cut them in couple of different images, which will be for my. So this is the back view. I have also the top, the bottom, etc., etc. So I took them to Photoshop, cut them to separate planes, and then use them in ZBrush to actually create this turtle, which is, let me see what I can find it. So it is this one. Yeah, a big file. ZBrush always have this. Look how big this one is. It's like 4 gigabytes. It's a big file because it remembers all of the stuff that you've done for it. And let me start this one. Oh, I didn't expect it to take so long. So basically, this is the file that was the final version of Dex. Come on. Yeah, so this is Dex, final version of Dex. So this is very high poly. You can't take this one straight to Maya. You can't take it to Unreal, and you're probably aware of that. Now, if we go to our subtools here, so this is ZBrush. ZBrush, for those who are absolutely unfamiliar with the software, is basically the software that will imitate real life work with clay. So you will go there and you can build from cube, from a sphere. You can just model the drag and carve and pull stuff to go to something like this. So before you need to, if you go here on the right, you can see that those are very high poly. The polygons of this guy are like 6 million or something. So this is just the shell. The body itself, it's how many millions? Like 4 millions, almost 5 millions polygons here. You will need to go, and before take them to Maya to retopologize it, you will need to go and decimate those, and you have this option in ZBrush. You will need to make a decimated version of those. So if you compare this shell, actually that's the shell. So if you compare this shell, you can see how thick it is in terms of polygons. So those are all polygons. It's even difficult to zoom in on those. So those polygons you need to decimate and have something that will be like this. And what it will do, the decimation, what it will do, it will make your mesh into it will convert it to triangles, and it will put more triangles where we have more detail and less triangles where we have less detail. So you would say more triangles here, whereas the edge of this detail of the shell, less triangles on the flat piece. Same thing you need to do for the body, and then take this decimated version to Maya to retopologize. So what retopologizing means? I will open the file that is the retopologized text. So this is the guy. I will just close my ZBrush. So my approach is usually I will put some eyes here for placeholder. I won't use this topology this model here to take to Maya. I will do the eye itself when I get to Maya. But let me just minimize this. So my Maya doesn't want to behave. So let's make it behave. Okay. Okay. Okay, so here you go. We have this guy, and for it we created by using the decimated version, we retopologize it. And retopologizing means that you take the decimated version, and on top of it, you draw with the quad draw tool. So basically, let me show on the shell. I don't have the decimated version in this file, but I will just show you with this one. So you basically draw on the shell the polygons that you want to have. I suppose I will just need to close the brush because it doesn't behave. I didn't expect my computer to lag so much. Okay, so you basically make one surface as a life, and then go with the quad draw and do your polygons on top of it, right? So you can just paint them like this. Have you seen this tool? Are you aware that it exists? Yeah? So you know. So you need to do this, and you need to be aware that you should create some loops because this thing needs to be animated. So this is animation that is, it is not game, but it's still rendered in Unreal. So we wanted to have it as low poly as we can, but then as high. So when we get that close to the camera, we don't see the angles here. We don't see that it is low poly. So this is basically how low poly we got. And let me just turn off the live surface. And we can select and see. Turn off quad draw as well. So this is the polygons that we got. with the end. It's still better than 6 million, so how many we had for it. And the important thing for characters is that you need to have those loops. So you need to have loops around the eyes. So this is both for humanoid characters and creatures. So you will need to have those around the eyes because it will blink, obviously. You will need to have those loops around the mouth, and it's a bit more complex when it's a face of a human face, but I will show you this as well. So loops are important to have where we will have any bending. So here as well, so those limbs will move. Here they will move and they will bend at some point, like probably here we'll have some bending. So this is what you want. And then this is a low poly. The high poly will bake it as normal map. I will show you one more example for this one. This is now with the decimated version. So you can see that this girl looks high poly, especially this part here. She looks high poly. She's decimated version. She's decimated model from the ZBrush. You can see all the triangles. You can go as low as you can, but you still want to keep the detail that you built in ZBrush. And then you use this high poly version, I'm sorry. You use this high poly version, turn those to live surfaces, and you start drawing and retopologizing on top. I would say like this. And those so I've put, if I isolate the body. So this is the important loops that you want to have for a person. You want loops around the eyes. So this is a bit stylized. It's not perfect in terms of proportions. So it's not that it's not perfect. It's not human-like, but it's close and it's stylized because it's stylized. But still, those apply. So you want those loops. You want those. You want around each eye. You want around both eyes. You want around the chin and a nose. Ideally, you will have. Okay, it looks like this plug doesn't work. Can I just ask to? I don't know what my battery is. Can we switch maybe to somewhere? Um. So yeah. So you ideally want. Ideally want to have those loops around the eyes, both eyes, each eye, around the nose and the chin, around the mouth like this, neck, chest. So you want around each shoulder and both shoulders around the chest. Thanks. Thank you. It works. Elbows, wrists, fingers, obviously, and the bend. Legs, here, they shouldn't be horizontal. They should be a little bit upwards because this is how actually it will bend. The skin will bend for a real person, right? Knees and etc. So you want for the ankles, etc. So this is the minimum of the loops that you want to create for your character. Another thing that you can do for a character, let me just turn out this. One important thing to do for a character is that usually, I mean, it really depends of the art that they provided to you from the art department. But usually you want to have two layers of the eye. So you want to have this inside layer that this will be either a hole, the pupil itself will be either a hole, and it will be just as it is in the normal human eye, or like this, just an inside. And then outside, you want to have this outer layer that will be transparent, very, very shiny, will reflect the light, and will give the impression that this eye is actually a sphere. While inside, it's not a sphere. Okay, so this is how you do it when you take it from from ZBrush to Maya, and then after that for texturing, and then to the game engine or any render that you're going to use. Now, for the other way, when you build the model inside of Maya and you take it to ZBrush, I will show you another. We can call it a character. That's a Lego person, which in this case is a Lego girl. So this is how we start for it. So we'll have, let me just set my project so I see my references. Do you know about setting a project in Maya? Do you know what I'm talking about? No? So setting a project in Maya is important because you will straight away find your all the resources that you need. So this is basically, currently I'm telling Maya, this is my default project and I want you, Maya, to look for everything that is needed for it inside of these folders. So currently I'm setting it to Lego set. And if I go here, those are my references that don't show at the moment because probably they show here but still didn't reload there. I will just reapply them. So here I can straight away see that this is front. Those are all the images that are connected to what I'm doing at the moment. I can see my reference here again. So this was side, and this camera I changed it to back, and the reference will be the back of the Lego person because it has really interesting holes on the back that are for when you put the Lego girl sitting and stacking on other parts of the Lego set. So this is back. Okay, so you probably know how to do this. You use your references. You start with the box modeling. I have my block out here. So you would want to always start with the block out. Just test the proportions of what you're doing. Ideally, working life size. So you want this person to be about 3 point something centimeters. I think it's a Lego person. So you build a block out model. Then you add detail to it. And the next step is if you need to add detail to something like a micro detail, you can take those specific parts to ZBrush. I have the next model that is the next step of this one. So this is the next step. I have it already done and finished and beveled here. So you can see that those are beveled. You don't want to leave edges that are not beveled because this will look too CG generated and it's not a good work and it's okayish work. So you always want to make it, especially for games, if it's not a stylized game, and then if it's stylized game, if it's too sharp, this is obviously CG, and you want people to, when play games, they want to feel like this is an actual world that is made for them to enter and to enjoy, not something that is computer generated, right? It's made by people. So you want to bevel those, you want to smooth some edges. Like for example, this one, I'm pressing 3 here for the preview, but before I take it to Unreal Engine, I will smooth this, subdivide this geometry. So everywhere, like this is, Maya will show it in Arnold. You can render it just with by pressing 3, you will have the smooth version in Arnold. But if you take it to Unreal, I don't know about Unreal 5, but Unreal 4, you still need to subdivide it. Okay, so for this girl, actually started with as a guy, turned to girl. We created this hair. I created this hair. And what's the problem with this hair is that when you take it to ZBrush, and I can do it now. I can take it to ZBrush. What you will do, let's say this is low poly, but I like it low poly. It has enough detail. It's fine. If I want to add any detail like scratches or whatever, I can do this in Substance Painter. For the hair though, I cannot do it because I really need to pull some of the polygons to actually change the topology. Okay. In order to do this, I will take this hair. I will go File, Export Selection, and I can save it even here where my scenes are, and I will say hair to ZBrush, for example, or whatever. And I will export the selection. If I open ZBrush now, which hopefully will behave, in general, you need, it's a better idea is to get the whole Lego person, the whole the body as well, because when you start modeling the hair and you don't see the body, you can end up with some penetrations that you don't want. So you need to have this as a reference, but I just want to show you what's the problem with this hair and what is the step that you shouldn't skip in order not to have more work for after that. So let's say I'm just opening a default project here. I'm going to zip plugin, FBX export import, and I will import the hair that I just created, which is in Lego scenes, hair to ZBrush. Okay, it's looking for images. Okay. One thing that you can notice, I obviously selected the head as well. So let me hide the head. So one thing that you can see is that we have a hole here, first thing, and we don't want to have it, right? If we go back to Maya, we don't see this here, right? It's perfectly fine. And then this thing looks, the other bun, her bun, is like it's inside out. Do you have any theories why is this happening? Anyone? Yeah? No? Should I tell you? Okay, so this is happening because I was lazy and I didn't check my mesh. So before you take your mesh that you build, your beautiful mesh, your beautiful model that you build in Maya, and before taking it to ZBrush or Substance Painter or any engine, you want to check the mesh for any issues. So first issue I definitely have here is like first thing that you want to do, you want to always delete your history. So obviously I've deleted it here. Unfortunately, I didn't. Actually, let me try to delete. So first thing, you want to delete your history. If you don't delete your history, everything that you've done in Maya, everything that you touched, extruded, adjusted some vertices, things like this, it will be recorded. First of all, your file will become bigger. The chances of the file at some point to corrupt at some point the file will be bigger. And also you will have, if you go to your attribute editor here, you will have a lot of things on this row that you don't care about. Okay, so when you delete your history, either from this button, so I've deleted them unfortunately. You can delete it either from this button for every specific thing from this button here, or you can go delete, edit, delete all by type history, and that will delete the history for the whole thing. Now, another thing that you want to do for Unreal, especially, you want to freeze your transformations. So if I go to my channel box, I can see that this bond has some translation that we don't want to have. We want to freeze the transformation, and then everything will be 0, 0, 0. You can see that it's 0, 0, 0, 1. And the scale will be 1, 1, 1. This bond is the problematic one. This bond also have the translations, but the problem comes from the scale x that is -1. So minus 1, it means that you took the bond and put it inside out on the other side of the model. So this is to mirror those two. Now, we will freeze those transformations and it will be 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1. What about those holes here? The holes come from something that I'm telling all the time to my students, that are the most evil thing in 3D modeling, the n-gons. So n-gons means polygons with more than 4 edges. So polygons with more than 4 edges will always cause issues, because different software will understand, different word for me to pronounce, will understand polygons in different ways. So you have a square, and then you have the software thinking about the square of the 4 edges polygon as 2 triangles. To make 2 triangles, it makes a diagonal. And every software decides where to put this diagonal: left to right, or right to left, or top right to bottom left, top left to bottom right. And if you have more than 4 points, more than 4 edges, it gets confused. When it gets confused, it does various things to kind of deal with those. In this case, ZBrush made it to a hole. One normal polygon and the other one is just a hole. So how do we fix this? Let me isolate this. If you don't know how to isolate, it's either with this button, little button here, tiny little button, or Control 1. And we go to Mesh, Clean Up, and we click on the square, which will give us options. There you go. Let me just close a little bit of the things. Okay, so here we go. So this will open your settings. And you don't want this the cleanup to fix your things. Let me just reset it. So usually you will have it like this. You want to click on the second one. Instead of cleaning up, you want to just see the polygons that I'm making that are causing any issues. So say select matching polygons, and then what are the polygons that we care about? Faces with more than 4 sides, which are the n-gons. Clean up, and it will select them for you. So now you see that all of those are wrong. Because I beveled here, I broke those otherwise nice polygons and made them n-gons. Because, let me show you. 1, 2, 3, then this little one is 4, and then this one is 5. How do I fix them? This is ways to have triangles. Triangles are not good, but they're better than n-gons. So that's why I'm going to connect with the multicut. Are you familiar with this tool? Should I say what I'm... Okay, I will still say what I'm doing. So I'm clicking on it, I press Shift and drag like this with the left mouse button. And when I get closer to the end, I just let go of it and it will snap. Doing same thing here, Shift, drag, let go of it, snap, right click to finish my cut. Same thing here, like this, finish the cut. I know that I have the same thing on the other side. Finishing the cut, like this. I need to go inside as well. Okay. Like this. Like that. Okay, I think that's all. But I can still check by, again, selecting this thing, mesh, clean up. I don't need to change the settings anymore because I know that the way that I want them to be. If I click, it doesn't select anything, so I'm good to go. So if I go now, let me unhide this. If I go now and take this hair back to ZBrush, so I'm going File, Export Selection. Again, we'll just replace this file. Come to ZBrush. I will just open a new thing. Zip plugin, import. Fine with this guy. Okay, it still wants the images from me. Now it's good. Okay, so we don't have those holes, and we don't have the inverted one. Okay, so those things are important to fix before you get it there, because you will need to do it anyway, because it won't work. Now, after that, I will just go and just subdivide those, and I can start modeling on this. I won't go into detail how you um, sculpt in ZBrush. I know that you still don't, you're not still learning it in this course. And the more important, I want to talk about more about Substance Painter. Now, so basically, I did this. I went there. I sculpted in ZBrush the hair that I just created, and I ended up with. Let me show you the last thing. That is this one. Basically, let me just show you first in ZBrush how it looks like. ZBrush. Nope. So this is my final hair. And I also put the body here for reference. So remember I told you I want to have the body because I will drag the hair down, and I want to be sure that it won't penetrate the arms or the torso of this Lego person, right? So then I went, sculpted those, and ended doing how many? Oh, 270 hundreds. That's not that much, but this is a couple of polygons, the main part of the hair. So after that, I need to go and decimate those again to take them to ZBrush to take them to Maya to check whether everything is all right. If you have a powerful computer, though, you can use those as they are in ZBrush, export them as an FBX, and use this FBX to actually bake your textures, your normal maps, and all the maps that I needed in Substance Painter. I will show you this after the break. So basically, you want this high poly version to have it in order to bake textures, to keep the model low poly, but bake from the high poly normal map. This guy, I didn't do much with it. I didn't change the head that much, but the shape changed quite a lot. So you can see, for example, for this one, for the main part of the hair, is no longer, it used to be almost like a sphere, like a half sphere, like, right? Now it is quite different. That's why I will go and take the low poly, and probably not going to the lowest subdivision level like this, because this is very different in shape. So I will go to something like 2 or 3 for this one, 2 or 3 for the buns. Like this one will be 2. This will be 2 as well. No, 2 is lower for some reason. So this will be 3 as well. So I want this to get it to Maya, because the other one won't work anymore. It's completely different in shape. I want to take this in Maya to use as a low poly. Then I want to make a high poly of all of those and use it for baking textures. And the file that you will end up with, unfortunately, I can't show it just how it is now. I'm just showing you the logic of it because we don't have time. But the end result will be this file. So this file. So we have, let me just hide the rest. We have the Lego Girl group low, which if I open the group contains all the parts of the body, which are already UV unwrapped, that test with this checker texture. So I'm sure there are no stretches, there are no weird edges in front of my model and things like this. So this is my main model. This is the the one that I created in ZBrush. Sorry, in Maya. This is the one that I created in Maya. Then we have hair low, hair group low, that will contain the main part and the two buns. This hair low is the mesh that I took from ZBrush, the low poly mesh that I took from ZBrush. Then I have, unfortunately, I can see that your stream is a bit, a couple of seconds after what I'm showing. It's okay. So the hair is the one that I took from ZBrush, and then the hair low, and then we have the hair high, which is the decimated version. Do you remember the decimation, making triangles? So all those triangles, let me just apply a better, I will just apply the default material to it. So this is basically the triangles that ZBrush will generate to make it lower poly, but still have all the details. So this is not something that you can use for production. You can't rig this one. You can't, it's almost impossible to UV unwrap this one. So this is just for baking textures, for baking this detail on top of it. So the whole thing, before you take it to Substance Painter, you want the whole thing to be UV unwrapped. And in this case, I have two materials. One material that is assigned to the, let me just show you the UVs. So one material that is assigned to the body, all the parts of the body. So this is one texture, so it will generate one texture set, and the other one that is the hair. So this is not the best way to position your UV shells. You would like to go there and position them better, but that was very fast. Just UV unwrap, just a fast one for the demonstration today. You would ideally make it so you don't have that empty space here, because especially for games, you need to be very cautious about how you spend your resources, right? So you don't want a texture map that is only half full. You want to fill all this space. But for today's class, that's absolutely fine like this. It's not automatic UV, which is the worst thing that you can do. It's bad. It's a good thing. Um, so yes, I would say we have like 3 minutes more before the break. My next step is to take this to Substance Painter to export low and high poly version. I won't start it now because I think I said quite a lot and maybe you need a break. But you can ask me something related to what I just showed you. Any questions? You good? Yeah, you understand what I'm talking about? Yeah, it makes sense. You know all that. Yeah, good. Okay, so after that, we were going to, after the break, which will be 15 minutes, we're going to take all those parts of the Lego person, which is a good mixture of character and environment. So it could be character, could be environment, right? We can rig this and make it alive. So we'll take this to Substance Painter, and I will show you why would we use Substance Painter in just instead of just sticking some repeating textures there. Okay, good. Thanks. Okay, 15 minutes. Both? Desktop audio? On start recording? Yeah. Okay, everyone, I'm back. You that are here can see. Now, as I said, we want to take this to Substance Painter, and for Substance Painter, we need to create two versions: one low poly, one high poly to bake detail. So what I'm going to do, I'm hiding the high poly hair, selecting all of the of my models here. File, export selection. Is it export selection? And I will save it as Lego Girl Low. Actually, before I do that, just to show you what I did here, so for the hair low and for the hair high, I have the same name of each part of the hair, underscore for the low poly version, underscore low, for the high poly version, underscore high. So it is important to have those named absolutely the same, including uppercase, lowercase, and then underscore something and something else. Usually it will be low and high, because we will do the bake of the normal maps and the rest of the maps we will do in Substance Painter per object. So we won't do it for the whole thing, and we want to do it per object, and then it will look for left bun low, it will look for left bun high, and will take the details from this high bun and will bake them. If you don't have the same name, it won't bake any details. Now for hair, so this is only for hair. For the body, we don't have a high poly option. So we exported already the FBX for the low poly, and we want to export the FBX for the high poly. I will hide the body and the low hair. We'll leave only the high hair. Select it, file, export selection, Lego Girl High. Okay, now we'll open Substance Painter. So, Substance Painter recently, actually not recently, well, it's already a couple of years, I think, since Adobe bought Substance Painter. So if you have the red Substance Painter with the red icons, that's the old one. You want the Adobe one. So that's Adobe Substance Painter, not just Substance Painter. Just start the program. And this is what you will get. You can watch some tutorials, you can go to websites or whatever. I'm just closing this one. Now we need to take our model inside of Substance Painter. How do we do this? We go to File, New. Here, first thing we need to choose template. Usually it will be something like BPR metallic roughness. I would usually use, and that will work fine for almost every project, BPR metallic roughness alpha test. So starter asset. Then where it says file, on the other side of it, it should be kind of closer, but this is how they did it. You go to the select button and you look for your, let me just go and find my file. So I'm going to get the Lego Girl Low. So this is the one that we're going to use for production. Okay. Document resolution, you can always change it, but I would prefer to have something higher than this. So I would go with something like 2K, not too big so my computer doesn't lag, but then not too little so we have enough details. Normal map format, it really depends where you take this object to. So usually So not usually. Different renderers, different programs, they have different interpretation of the normal map. The normal map that gives you the detail that is faking differences in like micro detail differences. Um, if you export it from Unreal, I think it's OpenGL. Is it DirectX? OpenGL, I think. Um, okay, I will need to check this. Completely switched off now. Should be OpenGL. OpenGL is Unity. Let me just check this so I don't lie to you. Um, I know that definitely Arnold is OpenGL. Um, okay, so OpenGL. Actually, in Unreal, you can always switch it. You can always invite the channel. So we'll go in OpenGL until I remember whether it was DirectX or OpenGL. OpenGL again, for example, in Arnold. So if we render it today in Arnold in Maya, that will be the one that you can use. If you if your textures, if your normal mapping looks inverted after you take it to Unreal Engine or any other renderer, any other game engine, if it looks inverted, that means that you just need to invert the channels. Um, so this is okay. Use UV tile workflow. You don't check this on. That is for, I would say, for films where they use quite high poly models and where they have huge textures with lots of UV shells spread into different tiles. So it won't be in one square 0 to 1, it will be a couple of squares. So this is not something that you will use for games. So you keep it as it is and you say, okay. Now this is our Lego person. This is how it looks. We assigned one material to the body, and this is the Lego material. We assigned a separate material to the head. This is hair material. You can see the 2D version of it as well. So you have the 3D on the left, and you have the 2D on the right, which is the basically your UVs, your UV shells. Those two. Again, as I said, this is not the best one to actually spread the best way to spread your UV shells. But it will do for today. Here on the left, we have some instruments, we have brushes, we have stuff, we have some materials here, some smart materials, some mask, and some type of brushes, we have textures, etc., etc. On the top, we have settings for the brush. For example, we can change the size of our brush, we can change the flow, we can change the stroke opacity, etc. On the right, top right, we have options for symmetry. So when we paint on this model, it will paint symmetrically. Let me just switch to something that will have a color so you can see what I'm doing. So if you paint symmetrical, obviously it will do it on both sides if that's not the face. So yeah, so you'll have something like this. You can turn off and on symmetry. You can turn off and on whether you want to see only the 3D model and just paint on top of it like this, or only the 2D. So this is how your textures will look, like the maps that will be exported, or both. And you can see, you can do it with F1, F2, F3 of your keyboard. You can turn on and off the perspective. This is orthographic view, this is perspective view, and you can render it in something that will be very close to what you will have in Arnold probably. And you will have the lighting provided by the HDRI map that you can change if you want. So you can have the same thing in your renderer and inside of Substance Painter to test how this will look at the end. Okay, here on the right we have this texture set. So per each material we'll have a couple of textures exported. One will be albedo or color, one will be normal, one will be height maybe, roughness, metalness. Here you have the layers. This is, if you're familiar with Photoshop, this is basically Photoshop in 3D. Lots of the things that you will have in Photoshop are happening here. And one of the most powerful ones is the masking. So if you know what masking is in Photoshop, it will be extremely easy for you to use the masking here as well. If you don't know, it will be tricky, but still you will learn it and you will make great things with it because it is so powerful. Now, also here we have a button for the texture set settings, and we can see that we don't have anything for the normal map, for the world space, for the ID, for the ambient occlusion, or whatever. We need to bake those. Why do we need to bake those? Can we just paint on top of it? Well, we can, but then we won't be able to use all the smart things, non-destructive things that Substance Paint provide for us. So if we go and, for example, with those smart materials, if I point on this smart material, you see that it looks quite cool actually. It has this edge wear, it has some dirt, it has this kind of paint, and under the paint you have metal visible on the edge wear. If we drag it to our Lego person now, this doesn't work. And it doesn't work because it doesn't have those textures baked. It doesn't know what's up, what's right, what's going out, what's going in. Once it has this information, Substance Painter, once it gets this information, it will be able to work with those smart materials and you will be able to make your own one. So I will apply it to the hair as well. So the hair, it doesn't work either. So let's bake those. We can bake them here from the texture sets, which is bake mesh materials. But this button, most of the people that I know will use this button, but I will say it's quite hidden here and you need to scroll. And that's a little bit of work to do. So instead of this, you can go to Edit, Bake Mesh Maps. Now, we want to bake our mesh maps. Whatever we bake, Substance Painter, non-destructive, it will fix it after that. We can go low, we can go higher. But still, I want to go at least 2K, and 2K is optimal for games. It's fine for games. Now, for the hair, which we clicked now, I know that I have high poly version. So I'm scrolling down and where it says high definition meshes. Here there's icon that looks like a document. I click on it and I need to select my Lego Girl High. I know that this is where I have the detail from ZBrush saved. Okay, so this will be the high definition that will bake my detail on top of this low poly model, relatively low poly model. Now, max frontal distance, max real distance is how much when baking, the software will travel out of the mesh, of the original mesh, or in to get detail. So if your high poly mesh is quite different from the low poly mesh, it has lots of out and in and etc. You want to crank this up. But for this one, I think we're pretty good with these numbers because it was we didn't take the lowest poly version, so it should be similar. Now we'll leave it like this. Anti-aliasing. So anti-aliasing, if you don't know what it is, in digital software, when you have a line, it's basically made of pixel. If you don't have the anti-aliasing, if your light is not straightly horizontal or vertical, you will have this ladder effect. You will have the steps, okay? In order to fix those steps, when you're baking your textures, you want to add some anti-aliasing. I would usually go to the highest one, which is 8 by 8. For the purpose of this class, maybe I won't do it. I won't even do the lowest one. I will just go to none, because otherwise it will increase the time that I will need for the baking of the textures. And I don't really want to spend the 15 minutes of the 45 that we have now left, actually less than this, just baking textures, right? Now here, where it says matching, always will mean it will take your object and will bake whatever it's here around it. If you change it to by mesh name, and this is what we did in Maya, we named them properly. So the bun left low will look for bun left high, bun right low will look for bun right high, and it is like this: the name of the object, then underscore low, the name of the object will look for underscore high. So this is what we will do. This is enough. So once again, we have the output size, we have the high definition file, we have the max frontal and real distance if we want to change it. Anti-aliasing, I would say keep it at least 44, and then match by match name. And we go and bake the hair material. We will bake them separately because you can do both. You can bake selected textures, but because I know that for the body I don't have high poly version, I will bake the hair only. So I'm saying bake hair material. And you can straight away see that something is happening there, right? And now the smart material that I applied in the beginning and didn't work started working. Because it knows, let me show you again, it knows that because I baked a word space normal, it knows what's up, what's left, what's down, what's right. Because I baked ambient occlusion, for those who don't know, I suppose you all know, ambient occlusion means self-shadowing. So this is basically the shadows that the object drops on itself. Where you have the self-shadowing, you will have the dust and the dirt collecting. So basically, where is the shadow, there you will have the dust as well. It knows the curvature. Where is the curvature? So it knows that the model goes, how the model goes up, outside, where it goes outside, where it goes inside, and on those points that are poking outside, that are this, it will make some edgeware. It will get rid of the black paint, and it will reveal the metal on the bottom. Okay, this one. This is the curvature. Let's do the same thing for the body. For the body, we don't have a high poly mesh, but we can still bake these textures, and we need to do it, otherwise the smart materials won't work. So we go to edit. So let's switch first to the Lego material, which is the bottom one. And we go to edit, bake mesh maps. Actually, we don't need to bake the ID map. The ID map is something that you will make in advance in Maya. You will color different parts or different. It's wrong to say color. You will apply different materials to different parts of your model in order to mask some stuff by these colors. But you don't really need it that much. I would say masking became so good. Like the options that you have for masking in Substance Painter became so good recently. This is, I don't think people use it in general, so you can turn it off. Even if you don't turn it off, it just won't bake it if it doesn't have the information. So now for this thing, for the body, we want same thing. We want the output size to be 2K. And then here where it says high definition meshes, we know that we don't have this one. We will click on it. This is there from our previous bake. We need to click on it and press on the minus, and it will get rid of it. And instead of this, we will check the use low poly mesh as high poly mesh. So it will do the same. It will bake a texture by using the same amount of the same level of subdivision. So it will take the low poly mesh and will bake the textures based on this one. Okay, here you don't need the mesh name because you don't have them different now. And that's basically all of it. I don't think we need to change anything else. Bake Lego material. And now it works. Our smart material is now working. Yeah. So this is good. But we can, if you just drag and drop those smart materials, it's a good thing that you can test stuff with. You can go and check what's inside because it's a folder, and in the folder you have lots of different layers, and those different layers have different masks, and they have different like filters to them, and you can explore them like this if you want to achieve something similar, create your own. That's a good way of exporting what's possible in Substance Painter. Also, when you're starting, you can use those and let's say change. For example, I can change the color here, make it blue instead, or greenish instead of red. But then you don't really want to use those because people are so familiar with them that they will say, well, there's no creativity in this project. Those are just smart materials put on an object. So there's no actual texture work. So what I will show you today will be literally the start of it, how we will approach texturing, just the beginning of it. And then for those of you who are interested, it's a good starting point of developing a texturing skills further. So what I will do, I will delete this layer with the smart material, the whole folder, and let's start again. What will Substance Painter will do first for you straight away for each texture set, you will have some layers, one layer created, and this layer will be just a paint layer. So paint layer, you can take your brush from here, go there to check what kind of brushes you have and select any of those. Let me see. So those are, some of them came from Photoshop recently, a couple of years ago. So you can take any of those brushes. Let me see something that is more busy, like this third one, and just paint stuff on top, right? And just paint, paint, paint. You go down there where the settings are, you change the color to green, you paint more, you go to yellow, and you paint more. And you do your painting on top of this guy. Go. Then your art director is coming and he says, or she says, I like this red, I like this green, can you change the yellow one? And how do you change it without actually touching the rest? You can't. With this paint layers, you can't. Instead of this, the good approach of the best approach for this job is to get rid of the paint layer and create a fill layer. So paint layer is this brush. This brush will create a paint layer. We don't want this. We want a fill layer. Fill layer will cover the whole thing with something. Now, do you know what BPR is? BPR, physically based rendering, BPR materials. Okay, I will just. That's not that important. Actually, it is important to understand Substance Paint. I will just explain it with 2 words. So BPR is about presenting materials, presenting objects, the way that they will be reacting to light in real life, which means if you have plastic, it will have color, it will have roughness. So roughness means how it reflects the light, whether it's shiny or the opposite, whether it's not shiny. So if roughness is one, it's completely non-shiny, non object that is not shiny, like sheet of paper is even has some reflection, some roughness. Actually, has lower than one roughness. So when it's, let me show you with this layer. First thing, we have the color. We'll change the color to red. Okay, so everything will be red with this girl. We can hide the hair for now. So we can leave it. So everything will be red. Then we have height. Height is how much. We don't need the height to understand the BPR, but BPR is color, rough, metal, like this. Okay, so you have color, which is red. You have roughness. When it's very rough, it's like this. It doesn't reflect anything. When it is zero roughness, that's extremely reflective. You can see the HDRI map, the trees that are reflected from the HDRI map. Okay, you can rotate the light with shift and right click. So this is very reflective. Then if it's zero, it's in the middle, somewhere in the middle. Sorry, if it's 0.5. Metalness, it's a different type of reflection where you have, when it's 1, it's extremely metallic. Let me just combine it with low roughness. So this is metalness. How metalness is different from roughness? It still reflects the light. It's about reflecting the light, but it reflects the light in a specific color. So if it is gold, the color will be yellow. If it's silver, the color will be white, gray kind of color, copper, reddish, yellow. So this is metalness. Then again, additional things that you will have for glass, you will have translucency, you will have how the light will break inside of the glass. You will have also emissive. So emissive is something that actually doesn't change when it's in shadow. So it doesn't really change the color of it, doesn't change the look of it, won't change depending on the light source. Okay, the things like this. So it's basically main things are color, roughness, and metalness. Of course, a lot of other things on top of it, but this is new. This is the approach that is now to rendering. So to texturing and to rendering, you need to have at least those. Okay, so once we're happy with the red, let's say we want something that is relatively rough, relatively metallic. Once we're happy with it, we don't. If we don't want metalness, we can just turn it off from here, and then those buttons turn on and off some channels. So I would say color I don't want, rough color I want, and rough I want. The rest I don't care about. Now, how do I make this a pattern that I was able to achieve with the brush? I need to make a black mask. So let's make this base. I need to make a black mask. Black mask or white mask. Masking is basically on top of image, color, material. You putting black and white image, another one, and the black will hide parts of it while white will reveal parts of it. If I add black mask to it, right click, add black mask, it will hide everything. Okay, so we don't see this color anymore. But to this mask, I can also add a paint effect. Right click, add paint. And now I can take the brush, the same brush, and by painting with white, that's not the same brush. This is the same brush. Painting with white, let me just change the light. I am achieving the same effect, right? Now, if I duplicate this layer, what is that thing? Duplicate layers. If I duplicate this layer, I can actually clear the mask. Clear mask. I will change this to green. Okay, I will add to the black mask again a paint layer, and I will paint green this time. And then if your client, your art director, your supervisor comes and say, okay, I like this one. I want you to change the red with yellow. You don't need to delete anything. You don't need to go there and try to fix it and mess up the whole thing. You go to the red layer, change the color to yellow, which is like this, and it's there. Okay? So this is the power of masking. It doesn't end there. You can mask everything. It's not only the color that you will mask. So I will start doing it by just texturing this Lego person. So I show you what great power has the masking. I'll just go at the paint layer, at the fill layer, which will be rough and will with some roughness, and it will be yellow, like usually the plastic of the Lego person is. So we'll go yellow, maybe that's something like this, a bit lighter, and I will want the roughness. I think it's kind of okay like this, maybe a little bit more reflective. So that's good. Okay, so this is my base layer. Then what I want to add to it, I want some variation with the roughness. So you know that whatever you touch will have some oil from your fingers, right? So your phone, for example, is not extremely rough or not non-rough, reflective or non-reflective. It has variation because of your fingerprints. So how can we add those? We will add another fill layer. I will call it fingerprints. And I don't care about the color of it. I just care about the roughness. Yeah, so we have roughness. I will add again a black mask. To the black mask, I will add this time not a paint. So I don't want to paint every fingerprint, right? I will add a fill. Straight away, it will become grayish, a little bit less yellow. But what we want to do to this fill, we can click on this gray, so we can change it, right? But what we want to do instead, we just increase the roughness. So you can see that now it's shiny. I don't know whether it's very visible on your screens. Now it's shiny with this layer on top, not that much. We want variations. We click on it, we go to the fill applied to the mask, and here where it says grayscale, we can type fingerprints. So any of those, or maybe not this ones because this is dust. We want just the oily fingerprints like this. When we apply those, you won't be able to see straight away because it's quite big. But if you switch here from material to roughness, this black and white is basically the mask that you applied. What I want for this mask, I want to scale it a little bit. I mean, I know that Lego person is small and basically this is how a fingerprint on it will work, like this. But just to see and demonstrate it better, let's imagine this is like Funko Pop size. So we want something like this, right? Now if I switch the materials, do you see this? I don't know whether it's visible to you. I'll just wait for the stream to catch up. So now there's some variation in the shininess of it. So it's not just flat, shiny all over. We have these variations that come from the fingerprints. And if you want to make realistic art, this is how you do it. So this is the way to add some variations like this. We can go even further. Let's make this person dirty, like the Lego girl, like spent some time on the playground. It was lost, and now it's dirty. How do we do this? Let's make a dirt layer. So you go to the dirt, make this dirt. Let's say we want for the dirt, we want the color, we want height, we want the dirt to be a little bit higher than the main thing. We want roughness that is, we want something that is less reflective than a plastic because dirt is not reflective. We don't want metalness. We don't want a normal. We don't want opacity or emissive. I will change the color to something greenish, brownish like this. Okay, that's good. I want the the height to be a bit higher, but I will do it after I apply the mask. And I want it to be a bit rough, like something like this. Again, going at black mask, and to this black mask, we added once, we added paint, we added fill. Now we will add something that is pretty cool, which is generator. So generator we'll look at those. So basically, most of the main thing of the smart materials are the generators. You have ones that are already there for you, or you can make one that is from the mask editors here. I will use, because we don't have time again, I will use the ones that are ready. So to this generator, I click to the button here and I will say dirt. And what it will do, it will look to my ambient occlusion and will put this color with that roughness that I just used to these pieces that are part of the darker part of the ambient occlusion. I can now go to the main layer and change the height a little bit up. So it's kind of like this. You can see that it's an additional layer on top of it. You can still go to the dirt and change the dirt level. You decide whether you want to be very dirty or not. You can change the dirt contrast. Okay. Something like this, maybe. Actually, I liked it with more dirt. Less contrasty. You can change the grunge amount. So it could be like this. Very, very damaged. And you can change the grunge scale. Things like this. Lots of options to change. Now, another thing that you can do, and I will do this for the face, you can bring your own textures. So if you go to File, Import Resources, Add Resources, where did I put them? So they should be in Substance Painter. We have these faces. And I need to say that the resources that I'm importing, what it is. What's that resource? Is it alpha? Is it correlate and environment texture? In this case, it's texture. And the last thing I need to change to specify is whether I want it to current session, which means that once I close it, it will be lost. I mean, I won't have it as a resource. It will be still on my model. I can do project, which means that whenever I open this project, this resource will be available. And the last thing that I can do is to your assets, which means that every time I open Substance Painter, I will have this texture. Choosing the second one, import. And I can select it here instead of all libraries project. And it's this thing. What I can do another fill layer and drag it to the color. Now, scale it a little bit. So I have faces all over my model, but I will mask them. I will apply a black mask to this thing again, black mask, and then we'll reveal only the face that is on the head. All of the rest of the faces that are around the body will be hidden. So I will go add paint, and for the paint, I have the brush obviously, but I have this thing that will be able to select only triangles, polygons, mesh fill, or UV chunk fill. I will go to this UV chunk and click on this and go to this UV chunk because I know that this UV chunk contains my face. And click on it and it's now revealed. I know that I have some faces here as well that I want to hide. I'll go then to the polygon, switch my brush to black from 1 to 0, by pressing X on the keyboard, and I will hide those. So basically painting with black on them to hide them. Now I have the face. Okay, another thing. Let's go back to the hair. Let's do the hair ourselves. Again, I can import textures that are repeating, but why wouldn't I do it directly in Unreal, for example? Because I can add those effects like dirt and edgeware. I will go to File, and I downloaded some textures from Ambient CG. So this is a great resource for you if you want free textures that are pretty good quality, and they're free. So Ambient CG, if you haven't heard of it. So I'm going again, this one, File, import resources, and I will go to, okay, Metal, and I have color, I have displacement, I have metalness, I have two normal maps. One is DirectX, one is OpenGL. I started as an OpenGL. I will click on it. Roughness, and the rest is just some additional files that you don't care about, and a preview of the material. I say open. Again, textures, texture, import to the current project, import. Now I can see them. I will get rid of this red hair. I will create my own layer, and now dragging the color to the if you point at them, you can see the name of it. Color to color. This is displacement is to height. This one is metalness. We need to go to metallic. This is the normal map. Goes to the normal map. And then the last thing is the roughness. We need to go back and drag it to the roughness. Okay. So this is the material as it will be when you download it. Let me just switch to 3D only. So this is the material, the gold with lots of scratches, and it's pretty cool. But we want some edgeware to it, and we want some dirt maybe. So we'll add again a layer. We'll make it like actually maybe something greenish and maybe shiny, so it looks like it's not dirt but actually patina. So roughness to nothing, and metallic maybe a bit higher but not too much. Roughness, something like this. Adding black mask, and to the black mask we want generator, and for the generator we want again dirt. So something like this, maybe too contrasty, we can adjust it. Okay, we want something like that. We want less contrast. Okay. We want less grunge, no, more grunge. So something like this. So this is very damaged. And one thing that we are all often accused of when we do stuff in Substance Painter, that we damage them a lot. Let's make a little bit of edgeware as well. So that will be the last thing that I'm going to show. And after that, you can have questions. So let's make it with some color. It will be very metallic. And let's make it a little bit less roughness. So something like this, quite metallic. So we can see that this is actually a fake metal, so there's something under it. Again, black mask, adding a generator to it. Going to the edgeware. So something like this. Okay. So yeah, so this is very busy, very noisy. It's a bit too much, but it's there for you to actually see what's the point of it. Why do we do it? So instead of having this, right? Shiny and new. Actually, not that new because there's scratches though. But like with some patina and some edge wear, it's a different thing. So sometimes you want to do it to bring more realism to your game, to your modeling in the game. Okay. Okay. I think the last, yeah, of course, the last thing that you want to do is exporting those textures, and I will do it now. How do you export them? You go to File, Export Textures. Here you just need to say where. I will go um, to my substance folder, substance folder here. Select this folder. Output template, you should probably use, I don't know what you're using, Unreal or Unity. So let's say Unreal Engine for Pact. So Unreal Engine for Pact will make your metalness, roughness, and ambient occlusion into one texture. So you will need to plug those to different channels when you take them to Unreal. Hope you know what I'm talking about. So three textures into one to save resources. So you want this Unreal Engine Pact. Pinch is fine. Size, you can leave the base on each texture size set, which was 2K, but you can change it from here as well. As I was saying already a couple of times, it's non-destructive workflow. Dilation, that's not that important. That's basically how it will interpret the space between your UV shells. And you say export. It will do its job. And now you can go to your this thing. Now you can go to your folder where you saved those, and you can see, so this is, for example, the color. This is for the hair. Then you have the packed texture. So this is the packed texture, which looks weird colors because it's packing. So you basically, the grayscale textures you're connecting to different channels. Every grayscale part of it you connect to red, green, and what was blue in Unreal. Okay. So this the packed textures for, and it says the name is clear, low hair material, occlusion, ambient occlusion, roughness, metalness. Yeah. Again, color. This is emissive. We don't have emissive. There are options to make Substance Painter not export those, but yeah. And then you have the normal map that will give you the detail. Okay, I think that should be. I'm even 2 minutes late, but this is for today in terms of me teaching, explaining, showing stuff. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those. No? No? All good. That's great. Now I can leave late earlier. Right, cool. Thank you for being here. Those who are here. Thank you for those who joined the stream. Let me just check whether there anyone. How can I check whether there anyone on the stream asking questions? Is there an way? Anyone on the stream seeing whether someone is asking anything? Yep. Anything that wasn't clear, or was it everything? Everything was clear. Perfect. Good. Should I stop? Yeah. Okay. Thank you once again. You can add me on LinkedIn if you want. Sonya with Y, Ivanova with I. And maybe see you someday somewhere else. Thanks, guy.